Good morning everyone, my name is Alison Jones and I'm here to talk to you about my networking experience, which I've called My B4B, Business for Breakfast. A year ago I started to work with Bristol Systems Technology. My new job was to make and sell websites, which was very exciting. All I had to do was figure out how exactly I needed to do that. Luckily, I saw a sign. The sign said coffee and free Wi-Fi. It was placed outside of the Alveston House Hotel, and they invited me to my very first networking event. Wasn't really sure what that was about, what I needed to do, but I was told I should prepare 60 seconds to talk about myself and what I did, even though I wasn't quite sure at that time. And then I would get to meet lots of other people in the area in business. While I was at this 60 seconds and networking experience, I met a lovely chap called Phil Hodge. Phil Hodge is GWE Chamber of Commerce, and he came and spoke to me after the meeting and said that his name was Phil Hodge. He was part of a private networking club, and would I mind attending a breakfast on behalf of him because he was actually going on holiday. So I sort of said, okay, fine, this sounds like fun. Again, a little bit nervous because I'm not quite sure what to do with these business networking events, but I'll give it a go. So here I was at Thornbury Castle Hotel, 7:15 in the morning, bright and early, in my bestest of suits, and I was introduced to the network Business for Breakfast. So this is me, Alison's websites now, and I was sat in replacement of Phil Hodge. He introduced me to this network group called Business for Breakfast, where I met Roger Scott. He told me what to do, where to stand, what to say, because I was incredibly nervous. And all I had to do was be myself, which was lucky because I'm not too sure about being anything else. I sat next to a lovely chap called Paul. Now, Paul is a lawyer, and Paul actually has been very kind and introduced me to other people, but I'll talk about that in a while. I also went to another one of the Business for Breakfast groups, and I met a chap called Dan. He's also a web developer, but luckily we're other ends of the spectrum. So lovely guy, very helpful, has helped me with code, helped me with understanding my clients' needs. I met a lovely lady called Gillian, and she's at another different group, but Gillian helps people with financial difficulty. So I'm starting to meet people who aren't just helping me, but they're helping my friends, and later on my family as well. Phil Girdlestone, he's another member of our group. He's another online marketing chap, very clever, and is always very helpful to the other members in the group. Philip Wilson works for Tidy Software, his business. I had an issue with a previous developer who left me a little in the lurch. Philip very kindly came along and saved the day. So I've now started to build my very own little network of people within Business for Breakfast. Due to all of these people being very helpful, my business is now starting to feel that little bit more secure. Paul introduced me to a chap called Andy, who's an IFA. But Andy, even though he didn't want a website, he had a client who did want a website called Claire, and I was able to save her quite a lot of money. And she then introduced me to a chap called Jason. And Jason, he produces signage, so on the side of vans or the big stands outside people's workplaces. It just so happened that I went to an exhibition in London and bumped into some chaps from F1 Motors. They have a replica Formula 1 car that they badge up with the business, and use as a promotional tool at events. Just so happened that their car a few weeks later was in Bristol and needed this badging work. So I was able to put them in touch with Jason. And I could only do that because Claire, the lovely lady that has the buildings construction business, she introduced me to Jason, who was introduced by Andy, who's an IFA, who was introduced by Paul, who's a lawyer, that came through Business for Breakfast, through Roger, through Phil Hodge, that I met way back when at the Alveston House Hotel. So you can see where my story's going. But it doesn't stop there. Stephen Stokoe, Stokoe Associates. Phil Girdlestone introduced me to a great chap called Jerry, who is incredibly clever and does some very fancy things with websites. At one of our other groups, there's a chap called Chris, and he's a cleaner, and I built him a website. So not only have I received lots of help from all of these people, I've now started to receive referrals and leads through the Business for Breakfast network. There's also Ben the gardener, and I built him a website for him, which I hope he's very pleased with. So all these people, all this time, I've received an awful lot of advice, which has helped me throughout my journey. The support I've received from Paul and Roger and all these people and many more, but the support is invaluable. I've found clients through the group, not just as members, but their friends, perhaps their families, their colleagues. Friendships. Probably one of my most important things as part of the group. I can also guarantee that if I go through a little bit of troubled times, by 10 o'clock in the morning, at least 3 of these people have phoned me and said, Alison, are you okay? And in business, sometimes that's just all you need. Services. Of course, although I've sold to people, I've actually bought from people or just received services. Paul has been able to do some T's and C's for me. Terms and conditions, I didn't know what that was either. And many other people have helped me along the way. And of course there's the breakfasts, very yummy. The knowledge that I've received from all of these people has been incredible. So support with what I do, not just with website code, building a website, but finding the clients, getting my paperwork sorted, you name it. Building a business is hard, and if you don't have the knowledge, then where do you go to find it? So after receiving all of this help, meeting all of these people, being involved with everyone else's business and then being involved in mine, the final thing is actually my confidence, which has increased tenfold, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that. So to close, I thank everybody here for listening. I thank Business for Breakfast, and I thank Roger Scott. Thank you very much.